Hey y'all, it's your girl Sia. I am back with another video, y'all. I haven't shown my face on here in a very long time. Just been busy. I think I've done some videos like in the car, but not really just done this face to face. So, hey y'all. Let me tell y'all this, okay? And I really want to just dive into it. Today is Saturday. I hope you guys are having an amazing weekend. Me, it's been chill. I've been able to hang with my family, hang with my cousins, and I just needed to be loved on by family for just a little bit. Anywho, right? I am so annoyed with certain groups of people right now. And I'm going to say this. It really has nothing to do with politics. But part of the reason why I am kind of like annoyed is because I feel like there are a group of Trump supporters that want to see things the way they want to see them, without any regards. And the crazy thing is it's not just Trump supporters, and I'm going to explain what I mean in a second, okay? However, there are certain things that are going on right now in this world, and there's like a group of men, a group of people who are, it's like they're choosing to not see things from a balanced point of view, right? And so, one thing about me, something I've learned in life, you guys, is balance is key, right? There is no it's your truth and it's my truth only. No, it's the truth usually is somewhere in the middle, right? When we talk about, certain aspects of life, I really don't want to go into it too much, but one of the universal laws is balance, right? Not necessarily getting rid of, but balancing the scale so that life can kind of run smooth, right? However, we have a sector of the population that are really extreme in their thought processes. And it's really unfair to certain people, right? And let me be clear, if I didn't have the courage or the confidence or know who I was, I would really probably feel a type of way about some things, okay? But what happened today? I wish I could share. I don't know if I can share my things on my phone. But I had made a post. I said, "You know what?" And this really was my experience today. Got up, got dressed. I was supposed to be at a birthday party at like 1:30. I think I got like, y'all, I think I got bit or something right here. Anyway, I was supposed to be at a party at 1:30. It was like a little barbecue for the elders. My uncle is he turned 65, and so it was like a big deal for the family to show up and kind of show out kind of deal. We ended up doing like a barbecue thing at a park. And it was it was pretty cool. I was actually very impressed with the turnout this time. So that was cool. Um, but anywho, on my way there, right? And I did not drink at all, right? I didn't have anything. I probably hit my pen a little bit in the morning. But aside from that, I was very sober, okay? I go into this situation, and um well, not go into the situation. I get in my car and I'm driving cool. You guys know I live in a nice area. I don't have negative interactions with police. I haven't had a negative interaction with police officers and I don't know how long, right? I service police officers. Actually, the last experience and the last time I had with police officers, they were actually I was going to Wells Fargo. I was going to the ATM. It's in my neighborhood. Like I could low key walk if I wanted to go that get there. So that's how close it is. And I don't know what kind of activity was going on in the neighborhood, but the police officers kind of pulled up and they were like, we're just, we're making sure you're safe. Like as I'm going to the well, like as I'm pulling money out of my bank account, right? Or putting money in, whatever I was doing. And realistically, they probably could have been profiling, but I thought that that was a unique way to kind of, it makes you feel like everybody in my neighborhood is super friendly. Okay. So it made me feel safe. Prior to that, any interactions I would have were more like we're human, two adults just chopping it up, but they're cops, right? So I've never had, like I said, I don't have negative experiences with police, and I really don't put myself in situations to have those experiences. I don't carry myself like that. And so this experience was a little nerve wracking, but at the same time, it was almost like for me, I dare you, right? I ended up getting off the highway, and to be fair, I got in front of the police officer. It was me who got in front of the police officer, but I had to make that turn. I had to make sure that I was getting to where I needed to go. Whatever. So I had to make the turn. Now, one thing about me driving my vehicle, I'm clean, right? I mean, the dude, all he had to do was pull my license plate and see that I was good, right? So from the time that I got off the highway to the time that I got to party, the cop followed me literally the whole way. And to be fair, okay, so this is the things that I have to acknowledge too, and I'm keeping that in the back of my mind with trying to really give the situation a little bit of grace, right? The cop trails behind me. He's not right on my ass, right? Obviously, that would be very aggressive, but he trailed behind me, did not leave my lane, stayed in my lane, right? Following me. But to be fair, the direction that I was going in was also the direction where the Aurora police were. So and like the downtown like department was. So it kind of makes sense, but I've never had an officer just trail behind me and like do so where maybe a car could have got in front of him, but he was just trailing me. And I'm thinking to myself, usually when cops do that, right? For me, and keep in mind, Denver, the same thing kind of happens. If a cop I think one time I drove past a cop, my music was kind of bumping. The cop jumps behind me. I don't know what happened or like if they saw me, like I don't know, but the cop just ended up going on about its day. So a lot of times I think what happens is they don't know who's really in the car, right? And that's okay. Like I get that. But when you're kind of following me and you're literally behind me, I mean, literally behind me to where it's like every turn I made, this dude was making, right? In the same lane. And I was just thinking to myself, like I said, he could have been cruising, but it did not feel good. It did not feel right. I've never had a cop do that ever. Okay. I've had cops behind me. I've had cops on the side of me, but I've never had a cop just trail behind me like that. And so good thing is I did put on my metas because one thing about me is I know I'm clean. Like I know I'm clean. Like I know I'm clean. I know that there's nothing I've done wrong for you to just be trailing behind me. I didn't feel like my life was on the line necessarily, but just in case some BS, was started, I guess, because again, it was odd behavior which led me to record, right? It's not a situation where, like I was in fear for my life and oh my God, like I'm a black woman, whatever. But it was something to take notice of and be mindful of as I'm being a black woman and I'm driving in this city that has a history of profiling individuals, not just based on activity, but also their skin color. So I have this Trump supporter who decides that they're going to get underneath my post and they're going to say, well, there's got to be some sort of activity and da. I am probably more successful than you, sir. And you're under my comments and my thing trying to imply that there had to have been a reason why the officer was trailing me. Well, if that was a fucking case, why didn't he pull me over? Why was he trailing me for miles? This wasn't a situation where I ended up being was more, I mean, this is miles. This is traveling from the highway into this city of Aurora, like towards the downtown area. This is about 7 to 10 minutes of following me. Like that's realistically, it is not, that is not activity. I've been pulled over before for activity and it's happened right away. I've also had police officers especially when I was delivering Uber Eats, where I would go and deliver Uber Eats, but I'm in such a rush, I almost ran a stop sign in this same city. And I've had officers sit and just kind of watch me and give me that dad look like, yeah, you better slow down. Like, I know you see me. So I've dealt with it all. It's not like I'm new to this, right? And so when this person said that, it's like you weren't in the vehicle with me, you weren't there. Therefore, the only reason that you would even imply that activity was going on is because I'm a black woman. That's it. However, if you argue that with this person because they don't know me from a can of paint, they're making the assumption that activity had to have been happening, right? It just had to be happening, right? Because it just has to happen. Why? Because I'm black. I'm a successful woman. Like I own my shit. Like I get up and go to work like everybody else. I handle my business like everybody else. You know what I mean? I'm mindful. I'm probably more mindful of the environments that I'm in and the people that I'm around more so than a lot of people. So come again? So I had to tell this person, be careful what you imply, because realistically, you trying to imply that I was doing something wrong, you might want to be careful about what you say. Right. And so for me, that was the most, I don't understand people who they see a black woman or they see a black person and they automatically think, oh, this person must be bad. This person is doing bad things. This person is bad. No, no. If that was the case, I'd have got pulled over. Not only that, my metas capture so I'm driving. My metas are going to capture my speed. They capture the whole view. Everything I see, they see. That's how you know the person really, like, you don't even know what you're talking about to even make that implication. It's crazy to me that people would even imply shit like that. And I've noticed that happens a lot more now in today's society because you have a sector of the population that think they're always right. And even when they're wrong, they don't understand that they're wrong. They're still going to believe in their head what they want to believe. The reality of it is, I'm not somebody that anybody, like low key, I don't know who people think I am, but I was almost like, okay, cop, you want to pull me over? Let's do it. Like, don't like I'm not gonna give you a hard time. I ain't never been that girl, but understand, I don't need to. I'm a girl. I would have played that so smooth. The cop would have pulled me over, did whatever he felt like he needed to do, and I would have had the recording. Because the moment he pulls me over and you ain't got a reason to pull me over, and you've been telling me, Mm, my car's legal, my license is legal, my tags are legal. You see what I'm saying? Right? I don't have any reason for a cop to pull me over. I can see if I was speeding, but then pull me over, right? Don't tag me, don't follow me, don't drive behind me. That's when I have to be on kind of like, okay, what is this fool trying to do? Is this just him trying to get to his destination and he just cruising? Not, sometimes that happens. Maybe he's not being mindful. Where he had to go was where I was going. So I acknowledge that. I'm not trying to make the cop seem like he's a bad guy. However, it was a clear difference from when I left Denver to Aurora. Just like the police presence from where I'm at is a lot different than where I live and in Aurora. So this was my first experience ever having this, ever going through that, ever noticing that that was the case. And me, again, I mean, I don't know. What could I have been dealing with? I would have thought like an arrogant asshole. Like, I mean, at worst. Like, what do you, I mean, if you shoot me, I mean, no offense. If something were to happen to me crazy, that low key would have been crazy. Now, I'm not going to fight with no police. I don't have no beef with no police officers. I don't, I live my life. I do what I got to do. I'm an upstanding citizen. I do what I gotta do, and as long as I could provide for me and mine, that's all that matters to me. So this experience was not the best. And Aurora, again, they have a history of doing that, whether that was the intent or not. I have no idea. What I know is it's very unfortunate that you have people that are so and I the only reason why I know this person is a Trump supporter, it's a lot of Trump supporters right now that are not understanding that balance is key. Balance is key. Balance is key. Okay? So when you're way out thinking some shit that's not cool. To even post something like that really isn't cool. But okay, I shut that shit down quick. I ain't got to argue with you. I don't need to prove nothing to you. What I saw, I'm making an observation and I pointed it out. Whether this individual felt like I don't know this person from a can of paint. I've never been in a physical room with this person. You see what I'm saying? So to even imply that is crazy. But I also know the intent was to try to bait me into an argument. I'm not about to do that. I don't have to. But again, I think Trump supporters, and I say this because, and when I said it's not just Trump supporters, in this aspect, yes, it is. Okay, there's a lot of things happening that I could point out where a lot of Trump supporters, and I mean, he's losing the support, slowly, but a lot of Trump supporters that are in this mindset of, they're against women, and it's a lot of shit going on with this batch of Trump supporters that unfortunately, even if you are being honest, even if you are stating what your experience is, there's always going to be someone there to try to correct you politically. I understand that, the argument with police, okay, maybe, you was really doing something wrong or whatever, but don't put that shit on me and don't put that shit on everybody because that shit ain't always the case. Didn't nobody say, that the police did anything wrong necessarily. Like I said, depending on how that dude would have operated, and I bet you it was a male and it was more of a power hungry male. It was no female, not just following me like that. That was some young man that saw a black woman and an Altima and assumed the worst of me. If that was the case. If that was the case. So it's unfortunate that you have people that think like that. Like you had to be doing something. Like you just had to be doing something. But this person, what's so wild about it too? And I almost wanted to say this to this person, but I was like, nah, because one thing I'm learning about life is because I am where I am, I'm not obligated to explain myself to anybody. I'm not obligated to prove myself to anybody. I've already done that. I've already shown and proved who I am. Right? I've already accomplished so much more than the average person my age. The fuck? Like, I don't have to explain myself to you. And I'm learning that I don't have to. So, what I expressed to this individual was, I've never had this happen to me. Like, I don't need to go into what I have had happen to me, but I've never had this experience happen to me. So his argument was that it couldn't have been random because, they only do this when they have valid reason and activity, whatever. Well, this sure felt random to me because they didn't have a reason to do it to me. If I had a tail light out or I was speeding or in and out the lanes or doing something illegal, then they were right behind me. They would have pulled me over. You see what I'm saying? So no, it didn't feel as if it was targeted towards me specifically. It felt like a person thought I was somebody because, to be fair, if not to be rude, but the people in Aurora, I mean, I get it. You don't know what I look. See, and the moment I would have rolled down that window, that cop would have felt so stupid. That's why I'm saying I'm glad he didn't pull me over. It wouldn't have been good for folks. But at the same time, we've got to be mindful of what we imply on other people because of our own beliefs. Like that was a biased comment. It was a biased comment based on what this individual sees on television, based on their political views. And see, because I understand those political views and I'm not against all of the political views within balance with balance, I already know what this I've talked to this person. I already know what this person's on. So it just irritates me that it's like a all or nothing kind of thought process. It's got to be this. It can never be anything else. It's very black and white. And I think this is why, again, I've had such a hard time supporting this administration. First of all, y'all ain't getting me to support this administration this time around. I'm not doing it. There's just too much that's been going on for me to even. I am so glad I did not fall for the free. Okay, I'm glad. But it's so many people in this administration that see it from a black and white lens, and they're not trying to see the gray. They're not wanting to understand the gray. They have a negative outlook on people of other skin colors, of other races, and they do not try to mend that thought process, right? Not all of us are doing things we shouldn't be doing. Like I said, if I was doing something, and this is how God works, right? This is real talk. I feel like anytime I'm doing something wrong And we're not even talking about like a mistake wrong. We're talking about like I know it's wrong, right? I feel like God kind of holds me accountable for that. So in this case, if I was genuinely wrong, I would have been pulled over less than a minute before I got off the highway. Like there was no reason for that. Yeah. Like I wasn't wrong. And as a result, I was protected. But I'm curious when I like I said, I don't know. They probably could have been I'm trying to give the cop grace, but it didn't feel good. That was not the best experience that I had. So um I do feel like I was profiled. I feel like the profile was black and I don't know what the reason was for. I don't know why they followed me. I don't know. Like I have no idea. Still to this day. Like I don't know. Like this was today. I have no idea. I want to extend grace and I do hope that they weren't really following me even though they were following me. They were just kind of like in their own world trying to make it to the station, trying to kill some time after lunch. Like I don't know. I have no idea. But that was not a good experience. But it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. So, yeah, I'm having a hard time with some of y'all. Y'all are not thinking with y'all are some of y'all really starting to show some true colors in terms of your beliefs when it comes to race, when it comes to just even with the police not having balance in the understanding, and the police ain't, it's not just the police, it's a whole lot of stuff, relationships, women. I mean, I could go down a list of things that are really, you could tell the argument really is on one side of the aisle for the most part, and there is no black and white. I mean gray. It's always thinking black and white. So that's all I gotta say, y'all. With that being said, I'm out. Peace.